Hello everyone, welcome to JG Reviews. Recently I was looking through all of the games I've reviewed and I noticed that I have neglected the handheld market, which is a shame because handhelds are what got me into gaming in the first place. So today we're going to fix that and I'm going to review a Game Boy game. And I figured for my first Game Boy review I would look at a Nintendo franchise that started in Nintendo's early years and then blossomed into something magnificent. That's right, I'm talking about
Donkey Kong.
Yes, Donkey Kong, a character that got his start during the arcade scene. His popularity exploded during the Super Nintendo era with the massively successful Donkey Kong Country series developed by Rareware. Oh, Rareware, how I love thee! So, what do you do when you have a popular console series and a handheld system? You port that game as quickly as possible for all the little kiddies to buy up. That's usually the case, but this time it was different. Instead of just porting Donkey Kong Country, which they later did, they decided to make something new with Donkey Kong Land. So is this game a faithful addition to the Donkey Kong Country series, or was it just a major slip-up? Let's find out. I get it, because bananas are slippery. Now, the story for this game is unique. Donkey Kong Land is set as a pseudo-sequel to Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong and Diddy tell Cranky all about their recent adventure. Cranky admits that he underestimated the success of it, but blamed it on the advanced graphics and the fact that kids will buy anything nowadays. Cranky proceeds to ramble about his older games, but DK and Diddy ignore him, telling him that the gameplay was also a factor. Cranky's probably just pissed because the last game starring him featured a little boy shooting bug spray up his butt. So Cranky, still unsatisfied, arranges a bet for King K. Rool to steal the banana horde and force the Kongs to recapture it on an 8-bit handheld system. Donkey and Diddy head out once again to get their precious horde back and to prove Cranky wrong. So, technically, is Cranky the real villain of this game? I don't know. Like I said, this is such a strange yet oddly creative idea, especially because it could have just been the simple King K. Rool takes all the bananas, wahahaha, why does a crocodile need bananas? So, it's nice that they actually gave us a storyline. As you might have guessed, this game plays similarly to Donkey Kong Country for the SNES, with some minor changes. Donkey Kong and Diddy can't do their down attacks, and only 2 of the animal buddies returned, Rambi the Rhino and Espresso the Ostrich. As for the level layouts, you have your jungle, snow, underwater, and temple areas. The only thing missing are the minecarts. But they've added levels taking place in the sky, on skyscrapers, on blimps, in construction sites, and even ones on pirate ships, similar to Diddy's Conquest. As for the boss fights, you've got Wild Sting, Colossal Clambo, Hard Hat, and of course King K. Rool. All of these boss fights are new and unique. Well, except for K. Rool, but he does have a new attack. There's also a few new enemies added to the fray. The enemies exclusive to this game are the Swirlwind Tornadoes that can help or hurt you, Nemo, which chases you throughout the level, adding a bit of tension as you swim away, Snapper, which goes up and down clapping its claws, Hogwash, which is literally a flying pig, and finally you have Fangfish. Now, there are only 4 worlds in this game, which might not seem like a lot, but each of these worlds has 8 to 10 levels in them, 34 levels total, which is only 6 less than the original DKC. Now, you have your standard items like the bananas, but you also have Kong tokens, which can be exchanged for lives. These tokens are scattered throughout the levels, mostly in the bonus rooms. Usually in the Donkey Kong Country games, when you collect all 4 Kong letters, you get extra lives. But in Donkey Kong Land, it allows you to save. The only other time it saves is when you defeat a boss. But trust me, you're going to want to save a lot. If you're familiar with the series, you'll know that these games aren't too easy. But it seems this one decided to bump it up to 11. It starts right around the second world, when they give you the overabundance of water levels, and it gets especially tough with the sky levels, where one slip up can cause you to die. Dang it! And I despise this one because you have to jump while it's moving and But the big problem I have with Donkey Kong Land are the flying enemies like the bees.
Not the bear!
No! We're not doing that joke. Now, bees and other flying creatures are common enemies in this game. But unlike the other games, if you hit one of these enemies midair, you die immediately, even if you have the other Kong. And this becomes a problem because you can't kill the bees by simply jumping on them, so you better time them perfectly. After doing some research, I discovered that this was actually a glitch. When you're hit midair, the game mistakes it for being knocked into a pit. That's why you immediately die. Oh. Well, thankfully this game is rather generous with the lives. So, let me give you the Joshua Gillespie strategy for this game. The Joshua Gillespie strategy for Donkey Kong Land is once you've gotten to the second world, unless you get the Kong letters for the level, go back to the very first level and replay it. Yeah, it wastes some time, but it's worth it. The letters are easy to get, plus you're bound to get at least 3 lives each time you play it. So if you really have too much time on your hands, play it 4 or 5 times. As for the level design, it feels familiar if you've played the first Donkey Kong Country, but it's different enough that it feels fresh, and because this game doesn't label the levels, you never know what it's going to be. The way Donkey Kong Country plays works perfectly for Donkey Kong Land because of its 2-button controls. And if you have a Super Game Boy, it feels just like you're playing the original game. Plus, you get this cool border. Honestly, going by the limitations of the hardware, they did a good job making a solid platformer. Sure, it has its problems, and the difficulty does spike rather suddenly, but it's not impossible. Now, Donkey Kong Land doesn't have any sort of cheats. The levels do have secrets, but it's nothing significant. So, I'm going to let Sid talk about the presentation. The graphics do a fair job mimicking the 3D-ish style of DKC. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it looks weird. But the levels still have a good amount of detail. There was nothing particularly awful about the graphics, nothing mind-blowing, but with the Game Boy's graphical capabilities, I give it a pass. Now the music, on the other hand. Oh my god, this is awesome! Nearly perfect representations of the classic Donkey Kong Country tunes, including my personal favorite, Gangplank Galleon. You don't hear the original title screen music anywhere, which is a shame, but the songs they did choose sound great. Overall, the presentation is better than it could have been. They could have just gone with simple 2D sprites, but instead they tried to push the system's boundaries. So I admire that. So, overall, what do I think of Donkey Kong Land? For a handheld game, especially one in a beloved series like Donkey Kong Country, it feels like a perfect expansion pack. While I do enjoy this game, it isn't fresh enough for me to consider this a sequel, or a semi-sequel, or whatever the hell it wants to be. It just feels like an add-on to the original title, with some new things put in to keep people interested. And even though we said the game has a lot of levels, it is still a short game with levels that can be beat in under a minute. Some of them do take longer, but it works perfectly for portability, as most 2D platformers do. My only major problem with this game is the level of difficulty, mostly brought on by the mid-air instant kill. I know it's a glitch and not something purposely programmed in, but saying that almost sounds worse because it's a glitch that automatically kills you. Sure, it isn't game breaking, but it isn't something that should be overlooked. So for this review, I'm going to say who I think should play the game and who shouldn't. If you're a big fan of the franchise and haven't played this title, it's one worth trying. If you're looking for something a bit new with a lot of challenge, you'll certainly enjoy it. Same goes if you're just a fan of 2D platformers looking for a difficult game. But if you've never played a game in the Donkey Kong 2D platforming universe and want to get into it, stay away from this game. The level of difficulty and frustration might push you further away from loving the series. I say stick with the latest one on the Wii/3DS. Or you could play that new one coming out for the Wii U that sounds more like an icy flavor. Tropical Freeze. Or try the original SNES ones. I don't need to do a separate review to say that those games are still classics that I go back to often. But in my personal opinion, I feel that this game shouldn't be forgotten. It expands on what the original did, and it showed Nintendo and Rareware that you could do DKC on a GBC. You see what I did there? That's why I feel Donkey Kong Land deserves some time in the spotlight. You know what, guys? I really have neglected the Game Boy, which is sad because it was your first system. Exactly. So, next time on JG Reviews, I'm going to look at the first handheld game for another beloved franchise. Hopefully this one will be a bit easier. I think I might have jinxed myself.